Onorato Company live from Alpine House in Amsterdam. Saturday, Ash, is National Open Your Pool Day. And
Okay.
actually, the weather in the capital region will be decent enough to open up your pool. If you have a
Sure.
heater, then my goodness, just you probably never even close the thing. But if you want to open it up for the season, Saturday is the day to do that. Jamie here at Alpine House just told me that they have just turned over this store from the winter season on Route 30 in Amsterdam to now, of course, having all of your deck and patio furniture you could possibly need, the grills, whatever you need for the pool, supplies, floats, noodles, all that good stuff. They've got it here at Alpine House in Amsterdam. Morning, Ash. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Ready to go with the NFL draft. I get
Yes.
fired up for the first round. It was
Me
cool
too.
back in the day when it was Saturday morning or like noon, and it
Yeah.
literally went all day. But it's a primetime event because that's what the NFL does. The NFL has a schedule release night, even. Of course, they're going to pump up the draft, and most definitely they should. It is, of course, of great interest to everybody in the 518 because the
Mhm.
Giants and the Jets both have two
Yeah.
top 10 picks. So we've got a lot to get to here on Onorato and Company this week. Pat Leonard from the New York Daily News, DJ Bieniemy from the New York Daily News. Leonard covers the Giants, Bieniemy covers the Jets. We've got both of them on the show here. Where is Gang Green? Where is Big Blue going in the first round? Let's get it going here live from Alpine House in Amsterdam. You're watching Onorato and Company.
This is Onorato and Company. Brought to you by Alpine House.
And so, yes, that's exactly where we are on draft day is Alpine House. A shout out to all of our sponsors who we will tell you about during the show. But let's dive in, Ash. In a
Yep.
draft where there aren't great quarterbacks to be had, not a bad position to be in if you're the Jets and the Giants who don't need a quarterback. You have two picks in the top 10 to really address some needs on these two rosters, right?
Yeah, and I think Jets and Giants have similar needs without the Giants needing a wide receiver, but offensive line, edge rusher, corner. So it feels like it is a very edge rusher, secondary heavy draft. And that's a good thing for a lot of teams because that's what a lot of teams need. So there aren't that many teams that feel like they need a quarterback. Hopefully, we won't see too many teams reaching for a quarterback like we have in the past. I mean, we've seen 4 or 5 quarterbacks go in the first round, and I think half of them are generally stretches. So we may see one or two. We may see a guy like Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett go in the first round, but they could fall to the second round. And there are other quarterbacks who people could get later on who would be serviceable backups and maybe turn into the guy after a few years.
Yeah. Let's just start there here, and we'll dive into what we think the Giants and Jets are going to do and how we think the top 10 will look overall. We've got our mock drafts coming up here in the first 10 minutes of the show. But Joel wants to know, I love this, good swimming pool greetings. Where is Kenny Pickett going? Will Kenny Pickett go in the first round? Let me just ask you that, Ash. Do you think Pickett, the quarterback from Pitt, goes in the first round tonight?
Yeah, I think he does. I think a team like the Saints, maybe later. It's going to be late first round. I don't know that the Saints will draft him. I know they were somewhat interested, but yeah, I think he will go in the first round, but I think it'll be late. And I think Malik Willis will go in the first round too.
So not Pittsburgh for Pickett, you don't think?
Maybe. No, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that's an option for sure. A guy like Trubisky, is not going to be the answer, but if you were willing to get him and let him ride out this season, do you try to get a guy later in the second round or third round that could still be the replacement to him or could compete with him for a job? I think you can still get that guy without taking a quarterback in the first round.
Sam is watching. Good morning, Sam. Yes, absolutely. Jason, morning. Long time no talk. Yeah, I like when your work thing doesn't get in the way of watching us as well, man. Thanks for doing that. If you're watching us again on Saturday on my 4, we are taking you up to a critical game for the Albany Firewolves coverage with Ashley right here on my 4. If you're watching us on Saturday, which again is National Opening Your Pool Day, and Carol is on board as always Carol. This morning too. Okay, so here we go. We said it. The Giants and Jets hold 4 picks in the top 10. We have Pat Leonard and DJ Bieniemy from the New York Daily News still ahead here on the show. Biggest need for the Giants, who pick at 5 and 7, is what, Ash?
Offensive line and secondary. I think offensive line and secondary, you could take a linebacker or an edge rusher as well. But I also think, like, if you can get an offensive tackle at 5, then you take the best available player at 7. So we'll see. They haven't had great luck drafting offensive linemen in the last few years. A guy like Andrew Thomas has worked out, but a guy like Will Hernandez didn't. They've signed John Feliciano, Mark Lewinsky, Max Garcia. So they have options, but they need the guy. They need the guy to really give Daniel Jones what will be his last shot at whether or not this guy is going to be the starting quarterback for the New York Giants.
And we're going to ask Pat Leonard if he thinks the Giants are going to pick up that 5th-year option, which they will have to do relatively soon. Nick is watching as well. Draft day, who day. Wonder where his
They
Bengals.
also need an O-lineman.
Yeah, I wonder where his Bengals. Well, yeah, obviously Cincinnati doesn't have a shot at Charles Cross, who we just showed you video of. They won't have a shot at Aquanu, who maybe is the first O-lineman off the board tonight. And Evan Neal is another guy that everybody is saying is probably a top 10 offensive lineman, and he is out of Alabama. I'm with
Chris,
you.
We talked to the guys about those 3 are really the 3. And then there's a pretty steep drop-off after that. So if you are in need of an offensive lineman or an offensive tackle, you want one of those 3 guys, because if not, then it's kind of a little bit of a mixed bag.
Tackle especially. There's some interior linemen who you can get later, certainly.
Yeah, centers and things like that,
All right, I'm going to look at the Jets here. They have the 4th and the 10th pick. I'm high on the Jets doing one of two, addressing defense with the 4th pick, because I think you get an elite corner, shutdown guy, or you can get an elite pass rusher. And maybe it's Sauce Gardner at 4, maybe it's Thibodeau at 4. I would then wait, because I think at 10, you're going to be able to get either London or Garrett Wilson. They won't both be there. You won't have your pick. But I think by the time 10 rolls around, the Jets will say, okay, London's already gone, give me Wilson. Or Wilson's already gone, give me London. I think they can certainly live with either one of those guys. So if I'm the Jets at 4, I would address the defensive need. The biggest thing in the NFL right now is if you can't get to the quarterback with a pass rush, you need a lockdown corner. If you can't defend the pass, you better get pressure on the quarterback. Jets need both of those. So I would address one right off the bat with their first pick tonight.
Over an O-lineman, you're saying? Over an
O-lineman.
Okay.
I would.
Okay. I just think at 4, the way we talked about those 3 offensive tackles, they're going to come off the board pretty quickly. The draft is seemingly infinitely deep at both edge rusher and cornerback. So I think you can get someone who's good enough, very good, with their 2nd pick in the 1st round. And I still think you'll be able to get some serviceable guys in the 2nd and 3rd rounds too.
All right, Ash, take us through your mock draft here, your top 10. Shout out to our guy, John Conlon, at
making
the TV
it look
station for the graphics that he puts together.
Yeah. Listen, this looks awesome. Thank you, John. I put this together. What did we do a couple days ago? Now, listen, I feel like things change every second, but this is what I was feeling a few days ago. And now everyone's telling me I'm wrong on Aiden Hutchinson, which is fine. Aiden Hutchinson probably won't go number 1. That's okay. Trayvon Walker at 2. He is kind of, I think people have really gotten high on him. Potentially going to go number 1. It sounds like. Thibodeau. So I've got 3 DNs coming off the board in the first 3 picks. It probably won't happen, but it would be interesting to see kind of the domino effect if it does. I have Kyle Hamilton, also probably too high, but I think the Jets, I think they probably go defense there, like you said. And it might be a corner like Sauce Gardner, who I have the Giants taking at 5. And then Malik Willis, my guess is the Panthers may try to trade out of that because I think they can get a quarterback somewhere else. But if someone takes a quarterback in the top 10, it would probably only be the Panthers, although I guess the Falcons need one too. But those offensive tackles are too good to pass up. So Aquanu at 7, Neal at 8, and then Charles Cross at 9. So another run of offensive tackles. And then Garrett Wilson, a wide receiver for the Jets at 10. It's such a such a mess. Who knows?
Well,
And nothing is. Oh yeah, Sauce, best nickname in sports.
yeah. So Carol wants to know Sauce. Yes, that Sauce is his nickname. Cornerback from Cincinnati. It's Ahmed is his true first name, but he is known as
Gardner.
Sauce. Yeah. Sam says Jets have to protect the QB. Also need some offensive weapons. You'd get that with a guy like Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
Need to see what Zach Wilson
Mhm.
can do with better players around
Wilson
him.
to Wilson.
No doubt. Yeah, right. That would be a good combination. Let me throw your draft
How much
board
do you
back up here.
disagree? Oh, okay.
Your mock again here. You said too high with, but Kyle Hamilton was projected early on to maybe even go as high as 3.
Yeah, and I
He's
think that was
arguably the best defensive player in this draft. He just isn't a pass rusher, and he
Yep.
isn't a corner. So
Right.
even though he may be the best defensive player in the draft, he is going to slide a little bit just
Yeah.
because of the position.
But he's not in a position of need, and that's kind of why I say I think he'll slide out of there. I do think he probably would have gone to the Texans if you're talking best overall. I'm infinitely interested on draft day to see when someone does something unexpected or what is seemingly unexpected, how things then change. Because everything that you thought when one guy gets picked who you didn't think was going to get picked, well, now every team has a draft board. And if there's someone there who they didn't think was going to be there, do you pick the best available player or do you pick your highest position of need? That's kind of where things get fun. And that's what I love about draft day.
A team like the Packers stay true to their board. They rank guys. And if somebody ends up there at 22 or 28, they didn't expect, they usually take the best available, somebody, whoever they like the most. All right, here's my top 10. And again, our guy John Connell at the station putting this together for us. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on what everybody's reporting here. Let me be very clear. I don't have NFL sources.
No,
okay,
me
this
neither.
is stuff that I've read, but also a general feeling about what each franchise needs most. So I'm going Walker 1 because everybody says that's what's going to happen. I don't know. I can't remember the last time a guy rose pre-draft in the last couple of weeks the way Walker did. I mean, I don't even remember seeing Walker in most people's top 10
Gardner too. Gardner has come a long way too.
No doubt. So Hutchinson then is 2 for me to Detroit. I think he's just too good for the Lions to pass up. Like, do we need him? Yes, but do we love him? You better believe it. Okay. Then the Texans don't have their quarterback yet, but might as well get their tackles in line. Laramie Tunsil's a stud, and Ikwanu's going to be equivalent to that. So now I'm good on the left and the right side for whoever my quarterback ends up being when I draft them next year. The Jets, I said it, I want a pass rusher or I want to lock down corner. Walker and Hutchinson off the board. Give me the best corner in the draft, in my opinion. We can talk Derek Stingley later if you want, but it'll be Sauce Gardner for me at 4. Giants are sitting there, choice of O tackles. I think they'll go Cross, but if it's Cross and Neal, either one works. The Panthers, same thing as Houston. We don't have our quarterback, but we know whoever the next guy is, we need to protect. Give me Evan Neal, and we'll figure out the quarterback next year, or maybe we move back in late first round, Ash, to get a guy like Willis somewhere in the teens or 20s. Okay. Now the Giants are sitting there again at 7 and are thinking, well, this is perfect because we already have our O tackle, and now we can do a number of different things. We can get a corner, right? If they have to cut James Bradbury for cap reasons, we can go get a corner like Stingley. We can get a pass rusher, and that's what I have them doing here, taking the guy from Oregon, Kayvon Thibodeau. Give me him at number 7 to the Giants. Falcons, who's our quarterback? I don't know, but we really like Drake London at wide receiver, so let's go get a stud at receiver to pair him along with Kyle Pitts in the pass game. I like that for Atlanta. Seahawks need a lot of things, but what they were built on when they won a Super Bowl was the defense and especially the secondary. Pete Carroll gets one of those guys with Derek Stingley Jr. at number 9. And then you and I have the same pick at 10, Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver from Ohio State. If the Jets and Giants both do, of course, it's my mock draft. So, but I think it's a huge win if that's what the Jets and Giants walk away with tonight. Huge.
I think so too. Is it sad that I like your mock draft better than mine? Like if I had to pick right now and put money on it, I'd put money on yours over mine. I thought, oh, that's so much. That's such better rationale. Oh, that's better reasoning. Yep, they do need that too. So I think I'm going to change mine to be yours.
Okay, fair enough.
If the Giants get Thibodeau at 7, you couldn't ask for much better because I think he was pretty much a consensus top 3 pick. And if he's going to fall to you at 7 and that's where you can get him, then good for you.
Yeah, he feels like a guy who has fallen out of favor a little bit
Yeah, a
here,
little
which
bit.
is strange.
It's so crazy how that happens. I mean, happens every year to somebody, and it'll happen again tomorrow or tonight when you see people
Right.
waiting
Right.
in the green room.
If you're watching us right now on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, Ash and I will be back live on the News Channel 13 Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages tonight after the top 10. So immediately after the top 10 is completed, even if the Jets or Giants move out of that top 10, we'll be popping on social media to give you our rapid reaction on that. All right.
Way past your bedtime.
It will be. When we come back here on Onorato Company, our conversations with two reporters embedded with the Giants and the Jets, Pat Leonard and DJ Bieniemy from the New York Daily News. That's coming up right here. Hang on, everybody.
Happiness is found in simple things. The sun on your face, sharing laughs, at the campground, getting wet, relaxing together. The love of family. There's never been a better time to go outside and play. Alpine House Pool Spa Boat and RV. Bringing families together and creating memories since 1964.
Teams. Athletes. Organizations. We're transforming the custom apparel industry through product and purpose. Claim your crown.
And now back to Onorato and Company. Brought to you by Alpine House.
Onorato and Company back at Alpine House in Clifton Park, right up the Northway from Albany, off exit 9. All of your pool supplies, all of your deck supplies, furniture, fire pits, they've got it all here at Alpine House. And if you're close to the Amsterdam locations, go check them out there as well. All right, obviously the first round is tonight. 2 top 10 picks for the Jets. We've got DJ Bieniemy from the Daily News coming up. 2 top 10 picks for the Giants. This guy should be on retainer at this point for me. I know I owe him plenty that I can't even pay at this point, but Pat Leonard is our guy. When we want to talk about the Giants, Pat Leonard is our guy from the New York Daily News. Pat, it's good to see you, man. How are you?
Great to see you too, Chris. Yeah, no, I mean, no better time to talk Giants than now when hope springs eternal. And as you mentioned, Giants and Jets, first time ever, 4 picks combined in the top 10. So New York basically controls the draft in a lot of ways. So a lot of questions and rumors and gossip coming my way, but a lot of intrigue still leading into the first round.
And neither team right now, anyway, needs a quarterback. I know that could change soon. But so it isn't a quarterback-heavy draft, no big deal. They can address the other issues in what is a deep draft at some of those other positions. If the Giants had the number 1 pick, Pat, and everybody was on the board for them, what's the number 1 priority and where would they really focus their attention?
I think it's hard not to say offensive tackle. You know, at number 1, that would probably be Evan Neal from Alabama. Given his measurables, given his, the fact that he played 3 different positions in 3 different seasons, at college, and the fact that the Giants need right tackle specifically if they're drafting one there because they think Andrew Thomas is the answer on the left. They do like Ahmad Sauce Gardner a lot. 1 would be pretty rich for him. And there's plenty of excellent pass rushers here too. So you could even make an argument for an Aiden Hutchinson or a Trayvon Walker if they were hypothetically to have that 1.
Okay,
spot.
but they are where they are. And so with that first pick they have, based on your mock draft, which everybody go check it out, just follow Pat on Twitter, give that info here in a moment. I'll just say it. I'll show you, though, here momentarily, P. Leonard, NYDN. You'll find his mock draft there, the link to the New York Daily News website as well for all that information. Giants picking where they are. Where do they go?
Yeah, so one interesting part of this, that Panthers pick in between the Giants selections, and depending on what Joe Shane, the Giants GM, thinks they're going to do, that could color what he does. In fact, I'm almost kicking myself doing that mock. I give the Giants Charles Cross, the offensive tackle from Mississippi State, at 5, and I gave them Ahmad Sauce Gardner, the Cincinnati corner, at 7. And those are two players I know they love, and I believe they could end up picking. But in the scenario I laid out in my mock draft, there were 2 offensive linemen still on the board at the Giants pick at 5. So that's actually potentially the perfect scenario for them to say, take Ahmad Gardner at 5 and say, well, we know we can get him, not risk it, and still get one of the 2 linemen back at 7. So it could play out in a lot of different ways. That's one scenario. I know the Giants are, and Shane is eager to continue taking calls and possibly trade back at some point. You have to think maybe they make a pick at 5 and then prefer to move from 7 back, maybe into the teens. The New Orleans Saints are a team that I've heard mentioned. They have 2 picks there. The Steelers, who's going to come up for a quarterback? But I know Cross and Sauce are 2 players they love. It also sounds good when you say them together. So they are 2 positions of need as well for the team.
Yeah, dude, you just took care of the back page headline for the writers at the New York Daily News. All right, Pat, here's a look at Sauce Gardner, the guy you just mentioned. What makes him so special? You said the Giants were on this guy early, and so maybe before most NFL teams.
Yeah, exactly. They were on him early in the process last fall before Cincinnati was even clearly on their way to the college football playoff. It's his length, it's his playmaking ability on the ball. Funny enough, he kind of profiles a lot like James Bradbury, the guy the Giants are looking to trade for cap reasons, but he's a veteran. Gardner's more cost control, young, developmental, still has upside. Some people in the league think he profiles more as a zone corner compared to Derek Stingley from LSU as a man corner. But Don Wink Martindale and the Giants clearly think he can be that man player. And philosophically, Wink Martindale would rather have the lockdown corner and figure out the blitz than the edge rusher and have to figure out the coverage.
Okay. I saw you say, hey, look, there are bigger decisions even beyond the draft coming the Giants' way here. And for people who aren't familiar with the NFL offseason calendar, this team has to make a decision on its quarterback, Daniel Jones, going into year 4. But before that happens, before he takes a snap as a 4th-year quarterback, Pat, the Giants have to decide, are they going to pick up his 5th-year option? It feels like it's a no-brainer that they will, but I don't know. It feels like the more and more I read stuff that it isn't such a slam dunk.
Yeah, it's not, Chris. And the reason is because, well, here's the thing. If Daniel plays really well in year 4, you have the franchise tag if you're the Giants to keep him under control. And also, if he plays that well, then you're working out an extension anyway. The thing about a 5th-year option, if you lock it in now, then if you want to abandon ship after this season, you're locked in to another year of guaranteed money. Now, the franchise tag is millions more expensive than the 5th-year option, so you would be taking on a little bit more money. But like I said, you'd probably just be folding that into a long-term contract. You look at the Panthers and the Browns picking up options on Darnold and Baker Mayfield, you just don't want to be in that spot, right? So not that I think Daniel's not going to work out, but you do have to, in a business sense, play it on both sides.
Last thing, Pat, I'll let you get out of here on this. Important first impression, right, beyond free agency for the 2 new guys in the decision-making seats, right? I mean, how quickly will you and everybody else in the Giants world evaluate what Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll do in these 3 days of the draft?
Yeah, so my initial impression on Joe Schoen is I like that he keeps all of his options open and available. He works the phones. He sounds like he's aggressive in an efficient, I guess, sensible way. I am interested to see how his actions under the spotlight and the pressure of having these 2 high picks match up with how eager he is and how he talks about it, because it really is different. And like he told us the other day that he used to golf the day of the draft when there was less pressure on him. No more golf, Joe. I mean, you're the big guy, right? So how much is he used to sitting there 2 hours before phone call from a guy 2 picks behind you? Hey, I want to move up, but I'm only giving you this. Has he really dealt with that? But we'll learn a lot about him based on how he handles that pressure. Brian Daboll, the head coach, still wait and see. I'm curious what kind of CEO he's going to be at the front of the room. I do think there's a lot of people in the league, basically consensus across the board, think that he's going to help them and improve them offensively. The question is, will he be a good game day coach? I did think with Joe Judge, the thing he probably did best was the CEO thing. There were game day things missing. There were first year head coach stuff that he'll learn from. But by and large, when he stood up at the front of the room and he said, eyes up here, and if you don't do this, here's the consequence, that was something that was non-negotiable. Is Dable that guy? We'll see.
All right, there's the information on your screen, how to follow Pat on draft night. So on draft day, don't look for Joe Shane at Liberty National or Ridgewood Country Club or anywhere like that. He's not going to be hitting the links. He's got important work to do. Pat, I know you're a busy guy this week, especially, man. Can never thank you enough for the time. Let's connect after this. I need an address of some sort to send you some swag and get some to our guy DJ as well, man. It's long overdue. Thank you, dude.
No, I appreciate that, Chris. I thank you for all the exposure and the opportunity to talk Giants and NFL, man. I know you can't get enough of it, especially this time of year when everyone gets to play GM, and we're close to seeing how the real GM is going to do it, right?
Happiness is found in simple things. The sun on your face, sharing laughs, at the campground, getting wet, relaxing together, the love of family. There's never been a better time to go outside and play. Alpine House Pool Spa Boat and RV, bringing families together and creating memories since 1964.
And now back to Onorato Company. Brought to you by Alpine House.
Back at Alpine House in Clifton Park now. Chris Onorato, Ashley Miller here on Onorato and Company as we get you ready for the NFL draft. First round, of course, is tonight. The Jets have 2 top 10 picks. The Giants have 2 top 10 picks. We just talked with our guy, Pat Leonard. We are doubling up here on the New York Daily News Insiders, Ash, and obviously 2 picks for the Jets here. This is a big draft for them. They don't need a quarterback, so this is not an issue for them. That is not a maybe quarterback-rich draft. But our guy that we're calling on today to help us out as an NFL and Jets insider from the New York Daily News, DJ Bieniemy. DJ, man, thanks for taking the time with us here in Albany, New York. How are you?
I'm doing good. You pronounced my last name perfectly, and then I have to send you the pronunciation. So that's a great start, Chris.
I asked Chris, he looked it up.
Yeah. Look. When you don't know, you look it up. And I heard multiple pronunciations of Bieniemy, and I'm like, I can do that. I know Eric Bieniemy. All good. Okay. So, DJ, let me start here. What is the Jets' number one priority? If they had the number one pick in this draft, if everybody was available to them, what's the top priority for this team?
I mean, the top priority is building around Zach and getting him the resources that make him develop into a franchise quarterback, because everybody knows if he does not pan out, most likely everybody will lose their job. So right now, based on just things I've been hearing, Ekwonu, the offensive tackle from North Carolina State, that's a guy that Joe Douglas loves, and that is, if he's there at 4, that could be the guy that they end up selecting if he's there at 4. I mean, there's some rumors that Ekwonu could go at 3, but based on everything that I've heard, Ekwonu is the guy that they love.
And DJ, they talk about the depth at multiple positions like a cornerback in terms of the draft, but offensive tackle is one that it feels like the top 3 offensive tackles are the guys, and then it kind of falls off after that. So in terms of does it just make more sense for them to go after one of their guys, whether Ekwonu's on the board, maybe it's Evan Neal if he's not? Do you feel like they're going to go offensive tackle at 4 either way, or does that change based on how the teams in front of them draft?
Yeah, no, I think they just value Ekwonu very highly, and they would love to have him if they could draft him. I think that's what it comes down to, instead of waiting. From my perspective, I believe it'd be better to attack defense with the 4th overall pick, maybe get Jermaine Johnson or Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon, or Sauce Gardner from Cincinnati. But going with waiting until later on to address that position since you already have. However, it just seems that Ekwonu is somebody that they're extremely high on. They want to roll with that guy and just have the situation where you let Mekhi and Fant battle it out to see who's the left tackle or right tackle. and then you just slide Ekwonu into one of those tackle spots, and now you kind of have your offensive line for the foreseeable future with Ekwonu, um, Tomlinson, Elijah Vera Tucker. Like, those are three really good pieces. And then obviously Fant, he just elaborated today that the Jets have been in contract extensions with him. We'll see if they get something done. And we just kind of go from there. So
yeah, I saw you tweet about that info on George Fant. There it is on your screen. DJ Bieniemy, our guest from the New York Daily News, and there's the easiest way to get insider info with him is his Twitter account as we get closer to the first round of the NFL draft. Here, his mock draft, who he thinks the Jets are going to take in their two positions in the top 10. All right, so if we're going to help Zach on the offensive line, we want to help him at wide receiver as well. He touched on it a little bit here, but again, I'm just going to ask you straight up. If they had their choice of all receivers in this draft, is it Wilson? Is it London? Is it a guy outside of what we are hearing are the top two guys?
yeah, I believe it's London because he adds a skill set that they don't have right now, which is a big body receiver who can win some of those 50-50 jump balls that Zach Wilson likes to throw, because Zach Wilson's a gunslinger. So Drake London thrives in those situations, but he's not solely a 50-50 jump ball guy. He's a guy that can also very well for guys of his size, and he's very good with the ball in his hand in terms of yards after the catch. Garrett Wilson is a very good prospect, and I think he'll be a good receiver, but they already kind of have that skill set in Elijah Moore. I've had someone in the build tell me he's basically a taller version of Elijah Moore. You kind of want to diversify your skill receiver room. I think the challenge would be, what are the medicals saying on Jameson Williams, because they do love Jameson Williams, but I don't believe he'll be ready until like later on in the season. And the Jet organization, especially the front office, is in a position where they have to start winning sooner than later, because again, they can't come out the gate starting 0-7 or 1-5 or 2-5. Like, that just won't spark any long-term confidence, and seats can get really high. And I think Drake London could help. And again, you want to find out, use as many games as possible to see if Zach is the guy. You want to get him as many weapons that can play as soon as possible, where that's a guy like Drake over maybe seeing Jameson Williams, because he can play right now versus Jameson Williams you have to wait a little bit longer later on to the season.
DJ, any chance that the Jets trade up? There's been a lot of talk about maybe Carolina doesn't need to take a quarterback at 6, so things become interesting and they go up to get a guy like Stingley or someone who, if they drop enough, they may need to make a move to go get him.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about trading up.
Mm-hmm.
Best case scenario, trade down, because with this draft, it seems that based on national scouts that I've talked to and execs, that the talent that you can get at 10 or 4, talent-wise, you might be able to get that in the teens. You might be able to get that 15, 16, 17, because it's just not a top-heavy draft. Like, a lot of the guys that are going to go in the top 10 probably wouldn't go in the top 10 in other drafts, especially like last year. Last year was loaded. There's only a few guys that I could imagine that could have gone in the top 10, maybe Sauce, maybe Stingley, maybe Hutch, but maybe Ekwonu, but that's about it. Everybody else probably would have been in the teens last year, but since this is a weaker top-heavy draft, a weaker draft in terms of top talent, it just seems that you can get the same talent later on in the draft, but nobody wants to trade back. So nobody wants to trade up. People want to trade back, but no one wants to trade up. So you kind of need two to tango.
Yeah.
All right, from your evaluation and from what you're hearing around the league and even inside the Jets, would you trade obviously I'm going to trade the 4, but would you trade a top 10 pick for a receiver that is proven, even if you have to give him a big contract on the back end? Would you make a trade for a guy like Deebo Samuel?
It's complex because the Jets aren't a Deebo Samuel player away from being contenders, so that's what kind of makes things tricky. Where, like, when teams like the Raiders, they may feel like they're Devontae Adams away from being a contender, or the Dolphins might feel that Tyreek Hill can make Tua Tagovailoa pop. The Jets have a lot of holes in their roster, but if they were to go after him, I feel that they should give something similar to the Tyreek Hill package, which is either the 2 seconds or just the number 10 overall pick. You shouldn't overpay, because again, you almost got a better receiver, a more dynamic receiver, who may be 2 years older, but again, like, Tyreek Hill's fast enough, and like his dynamic explosiveness is not going to go anywhere. So again, you almost got a better player with the 2 second-round picks. So I feel that they should, again, and I believe Joe D has this approach that he's not going to try to overpay. That's just not in his DNA. So if he's going to offer the 10, it's going to just be the 10 of it, or maybe like a later, like 4th-round pick or something. Or if it's going to be the 2 seconds. I don't believe Joe D's in the business of overpaying. But if they were to acquire Debo, the contract isn't any issue. They would have given Tyreek Hill the same contract the Dolphins gave him.
DJ, at 10, would you be surprised at all? Say the receivers you mentioned are all there. Would you be surprised, though, if they go with an edge rusher? There's just been so much talk about potentially guys falling out. All of a sudden, Trayvon Walker is now being talked about as the number 1 pick. They're talking about Nakobe Dean potentially falling out of the 1st round. It feels like there's so much movement and so much uncertainty. But do you go with the best overall player at number 10, even if it isn't the receiver you wanted?
I believe if Jermaine Johnson's there at 10, he'll be the pick. So that's kind of the impression that I've been under. That's kind of what I've been hearing. They it's weird. Like if Ekwonu isn't at 4, if he's available at 4, they really like Jermaine Johnson, but Jermaine Johnson they feel is kind of high for the 4th overall pick. But if he's there at 10, he'll for sure be the pick. I said they go Ekwonu at 4, and Jermaine's there at 10. He'll for sure, without question, be the pick over Drake London. So I could see a scenario where they do go edge rusher.
Boy, and there's a good chance he's there. That makes things very interesting in the top 10. I'll get you out of here on this, DJ. You are not far from your Star Trek days at Louisville. Give me one guy in the NFL you'd love to race against in your specialty.
So that's a good question. Oh man, somebody. If I can get a year of training, probably DK. Yeah, let me get a piece of DK. In 100, if I got a year of training.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah, your best versus his best. We'll give you the fair shot.
Yeah,
exactly.
My best versus his best will give a fair shot for sure.
DJ, DK, it's made for pay-per-view. DJ, man, thank you for taking the time with us up here, dude. I know you're incredibly busy. Can't thank you enough for it. And have some fun on draft night, even though I know it'll be wild for you.
Thank you guys for having me.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, Genair, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
And now back to Onorato Company, brought to you by Alpine House.
All right, Ash, we are back live now, Alpine House, and I'm in Amsterdam. It was cool to hang out at the Clifton Park store for those 2 interviews. Rich, our guy here, has been cooking on the grill. You can hear him, or he can hear you.
Oh, that's okay.
He's been cooking on the grill. And let me give you a look at this here if I can, right? Boom. We got some queso happening.
All right.
Look at that. On the grill. On the
queso's my favorite.
Egg. And there's a deal here at Alpine House. I'm in Amsterdam, but if you buy a Big Green Egg or if you buy a Weber grill, they will deliver it. They'll haul away the old one, and they'll fill the propane tank. You can't beat that. All right, Rich, take us through your award-winning recipe here.
Yeah, so I thought I'd get ready for the draft here and make some queso. So this is more like a Texas-style one with some sausage in it and some Velveeta cheese and Gouda. And
I can get into that.
Some chilies with diced tomatoes. So there's just so many things you can do on the Big Green Egg. You can do ribs. You can cook for long periods of time overnight. So it's just like having an oven, and you can smoke everything too. But I thought it'd be fun to make this, getting ready for the big party.
And Rich is a big Bills fan. He's hoping O-line over running back in round 1, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling after the last time on the running back in the first round that maybe wasn't the best scenario.
So yeah, Ash, we'll see what the Bills end up doing here for for Rich, but I am definitely going to indulge in the
Some
queso
queso?
here.
I'm pretty
Absolutely.
jealous.
I know you're
I
big on
love
chips
me
and
some
dip
queso.
and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll find a way to get some out of here for you.
it's my
Bring it
jam.
home.
Nice.
Yeah. But Rich is ready for draft night. He's got the snacks ready to go and the queso that he cooked on the Big Green Egg. Again, the special is if you buy a Big Green Egg or a Weber grill here at Alpine House, they'll deliver it for free. They'll
Awesome.
take your old one away, and they will fill your propane tank. So a great deal here
Sounds like a
with
pretty good
Andy
deal.
Heck, Katie Osborne, who always take care of us when we come out on location to be at one of their spots for our show, Onorato and Company. All right,
Awesome.
Ash, when we come back here, we've got the Popeyes Louisiana Fast Minute on the show. Certainly need to get to that before we say goodbye. We have, if you're watching us on Saturday, we've given you our reaction to the top 10
Yeah.
in the NFL draft's first round, what the Giants and Jets were able to do. And the Nets, a little bit of a disaster in the NBA playoffs. What does next year look like for Brooklyn with this version of the Big Three? Can they trust Ben Simmons to be a contributing factor? Our thanks to Rich
Thanks,
and
Rich.
everybody here at Alpine House.
Go Bills.
All right, we're back right after this on Onorato and Company.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, JennAir, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
And now back to Onorato and Company, brought to you by Alpine House.
I'm back in.
Yeah, there you go.
In my spot, and
Sort
thank Rich for showing us how he gets things done on the Big Green Egg with a little queso
Yeah.
draft night. Okay, Ash, let's talk about what the Brooklyn Nets weren't able to do, and then into our Popeyes Louisiana Fast Minute segments here. Bounced in the first round, not just bounced, wept in the first round by the Boston Celtics. And look, if you told me Brooklyn's not going to win the series, it wouldn't be the most shocking thing to me. But when you tell me that they've been swept and Durant and Irving were healthy and able to play all series, now I'm stunned. I couldn't tell. I can't tell you how surprised I was at how Boston was able to make Kevin Durant up until Game 4 when he had 39 points. Look, not human, below average. I mean, the guy looked below average. He had as many turnovers as shot attempts deep into that series. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, we knew, and bad on me to pick Brooklyn to come out of the East. Whoops. But we'll pretend I didn't do that. But yeah, we knew that the Celtics were probably the best defense in the NBA, but they showed that it's not probably. They are the best defense in the NBA. The job that they did on Kevin Durant, the job that they did on Kyrie Irving. Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year, but everyone on that team defends. Everyone has bought in. And that should, I mean, Celtics fans should be excited because you just handled the Nets easily, and they have two of the best scorers on the planet. You're not going to face a ton of teams that are significantly better than them in terms of star power. The Celtics are for real, and I'm excited to see them the rest of the way. But yeah, it is broken. The experiment is broken.
Wow. So
not great.
Even into next year, you're not going to give Brooklyn much of a chance to win a title, would you?
No, I would give them a chance because at the end of the day, next year, they're going to have a full season together. Potentially Ben Simmons plays and is healthy. I just think with time, you can figure that out. And listen, what the Celtics did to Kevin Durant is unbelievable. I'm not sure that they would be able to do it again, but even if they did, adding that third scorer and a third dimension and just something a little bit different, I still think also with time, KD and Kyrie could figure it out. So not that I'm not giving them a chance. It's Kevin Durant. I give any team with Kevin Durant on it a chance for sure, but it's pretty broken.
I'm interested to see how Durant responds. Does he have that killer instinct? Like, if this were to happen to LeBron James, LeBron would spend all offseason figuring out how Boston was able to just absolutely nullify him in big moments and in big games. He would come back stronger, bigger, faster, better, more determined than ever.
Yeah.
Does Durant have that in him?
Yeah, and I think
I'm curious to see for next year. Like, does he have that, overused Mamba mentality where you've just been embarrassed with a 4-game sweep in the first round? You didn't win a playoff game, and you've got 2 top 10, top 12 players on one team, and you couldn't win a game. I know some of them were close, don't get me wrong, but you still didn't win a single one. And so now are you spending all off season thinking about that series against Boston and how they embarrassed you to now come back bigger, better, faster, stronger? I don't know. We'll see. I don't know that Durant has the same competitive DNA as the greats, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. I'll put LeBron in that too, because I think he would be a monster coming off that kind of disappointment.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think you'll see it. I think he's going to take it personally only because, like you said, he was embarrassed. Like what they did to him, no one has ever done before. So this is different than any of KD's other playoff losses because he was essentially shut down. Aside from that game 4, he was basically non-existent, did not help his team win. And I think he's going to take that personally because that's never happened to him before in any capacity. So there's a first time for everything. And I think the way he responds to that will be what you mentioned with those other guys who would, the MJs, that I think he's got that mentality. What he does with it, who knows? It's more like dragging Kyrie along too with you, though, because Kyrie doesn't have that mentality. Ben Simmons doesn't have that mentality. So how do you then impart that onto your teammates who aren't quite mentally, they don't have the makeup of a KD?
This is funny, so I have to share it. Nick says they're going to trade for LeBron.
Long as they draft Bronny Jr. there.
LeBron wants out of LA. He won't say it publicly, but he will get his way out. Maybe not this offseason, but when the contract is up, he's not re-signing with the Lakers. Sam's point here, have to get Kyrie and Ben off the team for next year, build around KD for the future. Okay, so let's talk about this. Ben Simmons. What are the Nets going to get out of him next year? Didn't play a single game this year for either the Sixers or the Nets. All the talk, of course, leading up to game 3 was that he'll be ready to go in game 4. Well, game 4 arrives, or 36, not even 24 hours before it. And the report from ESPN is some back pain after his most recent workout. And Adrian Wojnarowski was reporting that he had gone 10 straight days without pain. So they targeted game. And then all of a sudden, we're on the verge of game 4 and I can't play.
Yeah.
The debate of Ben Simmons' mentality and attitude and all that stuff is, to me, a little bit in the past here. But let's look ahead to next. Can he be anybody for this team?
I mean, I don't believe so, but we haven't seen him be anybody for any team in basically 2 full years.
Yeah.
Because he played himself totally out of a role with the Sixers and was unable to be any sort of offensive contributor. He was passive. He didn't want to shoot. It was like he didn't want to be out there. He was uncomfortable. And now we haven't seen him play because he's been injured the whole time. So I'm not convinced that he can, because it's going to take a lot to get him back. And I don't know that his mental space is in the past so much, because I think some of this has to do with confidence. Like, is it just he's not confident and he's going to say, nah, you know what? I'm hurt. He doesn't want to be in that spot for the first time playing in a game 4, an elimination game in the first round of the playoffs. He probably doesn't want that. And maybe that has something to do with it.
And Joel Embiid in Philly has proven to be a guy who is going to play through pain.
Yes.
He's a determined athlete. He's playing with a torn ligament right now, from what we know, in his right hand. And Embiid couldn't drag Simmons along. So now you're telling me, I hear you say, can Durant drag Irving along? Now Durant's responsible for dragging Irving and Simmons?
There's a lot of baggage. And
That's
that's
not
what I
gonna
mean.
happen.
No, and that's what I mean. I think KD on his own, he will get himself there, but it's a lot to ask him to drag those two guys along with him because I don't think those guys want to be dragged.
So if you're Ben Simmons and you need to put, by all counts and purposes, need to be surrounded by people who are going to motivate you. Kyrie Irving, that guy, by the way, how about his comments of like, I want to be part of managing this franchise, dude.
Don't do it. Don't let him do it.
Dude, just play a full season.
Yeah.
For
Listen, that
franchise.
hasn't even worked out for LeBron. LeBron has tried to manage every
Correct.
franchise he's been a part of, and it very rarely works out.
Well, it works out short term. They get a title. I mean, he did it. And look, Cleveland, he got to 4 straight finals.
Yeah.
It's not like they weren't competitive. They were. The Lakers thing is blown up, and they're not competitive now. And I don't think they will be next year because you're not going to be able to do anything with that Russell Wilson contract. He's Russell Westbrook. He's on the team for next year. You're going to have to trade somebody like Anthony Davis to reshape that roster given the salary cap. All right, so no, we don't have faith in what's going to happen with Ben Simmons. Popeye's Louisiana Fast Minute coming up here, but I have one more thing that's just kind of day of, week of. Giancarlo Stanton is the 7th fastest player in Major League Baseball history to reach 350 home runs.
Yeah.
Is he the next guy to get to 500? He's not the active leader, but based on age, he is kind of the logical choice. I'm going to go Mike Trout. Trout is a couple of years younger.
Yeah.
He only has 315. Stanton has 350. But I'm going to bank on, and Trout's not always healthy either.
Yeah, but health is huge.
They both get injured.
Yep.
But I'm going to bank on Trout being a little bit younger. And I think for as big of a bopper as Stanton is, Trout more potential to go 5-6 straight years of 38 to 44 home runs. So I think Trout actually finds a way to play enough games, stay healthy enough compared to Stanton, where his 315 currently gets to 500 before Giancarlo adds another 150 to his resume. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I just think, like you said, neither is the picture of health. But I think that Mike Trout is in a better position with his age. He just seems like he's a little more healthy. He maybe takes care of himself better. He's not a small guy, but he's not the big, when I look at Giancarlo Stanton's body type, you automatically think like that's a guy that's going to be injured more often than he's not. I agree with you. I think Mike Trout will get there faster. I don't know. Like, does Giancarlo Stanton even get there before his career's over? It feels like his career, I know he's not old, but it feels like his career will be much shorter than it should be because of health.
So I did the math, and he will be 33 in November, I believe. No. So you're talking if he hits 30 a year on average, he's got to put together 5 more seasons of that. Now he's 37, 38.
Right.
Can he
going to hit 30 a year?
No, but he could with the
average
DH hang on until he's 40. And now a couple of years I'm hitting only 20 or 22. I think he gets there. I think he hangs around long enough, and I hate that has a negative connotation to it. I think he's in the league long enough to get to 500.
But I think it'll be close.
Yeah.
I think it'll be close.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you're right. All right, let's do the Popeyes Louisiana Fast Minute here on Onorato and Company. Ash, you are up first. We were just talking about the Yanks, so we might as well let you roll with it here. Go for it.
Listen, I am a Yankees fan, and I think for the most part, Yankees fans as a whole get a bad rap. This used to be something good, a positive sign that the Yankees rallied around. I'm giving the Yankees fans this, and not for a good reason. So this game against the Guardians, Stephen Kwan gets hurt. Fans in left field are allegedly yelling racist remarks, giving him a hard time about an injury. Miles Straw then climbs the left field outfield fence. Look at this. But then after a walk-off by Gleyber Torres, the idiots in right field decide that this is the time to throw things. Beer cans, trash, throwing it at the Guardians outfielders. Come on, people. You already get a bad rap, and now you are just confirming everything that everyone says about Yankee fans. bad on you because you make Yankee fans like me look bad. I hope they never are welcome back to a Yankee game or an MLB stadium anywhere else. I'm not sure how you do that, but they shouldn't be.
Well, definitely should not be allowed back at Yankee Stadium. I think we can most definitely agree on that.
But that's hard to do.
No, that's easy to do.
People buy tickets. I know they use like facial recognition sometimes.
Exactly.
But not every place. I don't think every stadium has that.
Let me tell you something. If the Yankees can't afford to put in some facial recognition to keep the idiots out of the bleachers, we got another problem, okay?
Yeah.
Come on. There's a way to do it. It's whether or not the franchise wants to do it. You hear companies do it all the time. Oh, we can't do it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You choose not to.
I think they can. But there's a lot. I mean, they're going to be picking people. There's 15 people they got to pick out of there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sorry, guys.
No,
you're not coming back to a game, and Carol's right there with you.
All right. Oh, yeah, good. All right, your fast minute. What do you got for us?
Throw them out, keep them out. Here we go. All right, my Popeyes Louisiana fast minute, Ash. It is time to buy these New York Mets.
All right.
Scherzer, you saw at the top. DeGrom, there he is. He isn't even healthy. And this team through 20 games was 14-6. They've got a fire. You saw it in that brawl against the Cardinals in the middle of the week. But the difference for me, those two guys, Buck Showalter, Steve Cohen. Showalter is a proven old school manager that's going to have everybody in line with this team. And then you've got an owner who is a super fan and incredibly wealthy, willing to do whatever it takes, like give Max Scherzer a 3-year, $130 million contract. He will make moves at the trading deadline. Happy to be that aggressive owner, which the Yankees once had. It is now in Queens, not in the Bronx. And so for me, it's the combo of Showalter and Cohen that has me believing in these New York Mets, despite it being only late April.
What I find,
that pains me to say it, right? That I'm not picking the Mets to win the division. Yeah. I'm just saying that I don't think the first 20 games here are a fluke. I don't think they flame out at some point. I think they are built really well.
What I find interesting about this run for them is this lineup, batting-wise, is not all that different from what we saw last year, and yet they couldn't produce. The pitching is. You got a guy like Max Scherzer and a guy like Chris Bassett, who has been fantastic for them. Tyler McGill, fantastic for them. They've done all of this while Jacob deGrom is out. But the difference has been they're hitting the ball and they don't look at, Francisco Lindor is hit. That makes a difference. But I'm more surprised that they're hitting, not that they're pitching well.
Okay. And they're not tearing the cover off the ball. McNeil might be the only guy in the lineup who's hitting over 300. But I saw there was a picture. I love the addition of Starling Marte. I think they did some really good things in the offseason. Even a guy like Mark Canha, who won't get talked a lot about. I just think they're built really well this year. They're going to compete all season long. I don't think we're going to get into August and all of a sudden the Mets have lost, 12 of 16 and now they're out of really the run for the division. I don't think they have a dip in them this year that creates a real problem for them. My own thought there on a team that I don't love.
I know.
All right, Ash, it's always fun to hang out at Alpine House in Amsterdam. Our thanks to Andy Heck, Katie Osborne, for hosting us here. And our thanks to all of you for watching Onorato and Company on the News Channel 13, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube page, and of course on my 4 Saturday nights as well.